Friedrich Nietzsche is often regarded as one of the most famous atheists in history, primarily because of his provocative proclamation that God is dead. But this statement was not a simple rejection of belief in God's existence, nor was it an argument that God was fake in the sense of a straightforward denial. Rather, Nietzsche was making a deeper cultural observation. The Christian God, along with the system of values and beliefs tied to that God, had lost its power in the modern world. The term dead reflects the fact that belief in this God no longer holds sway over human life in the same way it once did, not just that it was wrong from the beginning. Nietzsche's death of God is less a victory for atheism and more a diagnosis of a spiritual and existential crisis, one where humanity must now face the consequences of living without the metaphysical comfort and moral framework that God once provided. When Nietzsche declares the death of God in The Gay Science and Thus Spoke Zarathustra, he is not gleefully heralding the dawn of secularism. Rather, he is acknowledging the slow erosion of Christian theism in the modern world, a process triggered by Enlightenment rationality, scientific progress, and philosophical critiques of traditional metaphysics. This death of God is more than the decline of religious belief. It is the loss of a shared structure of meaning that anchored humanity's place in the cosmos. For many, the absence of this divine anchor creates a deep spiritual longing. Nietzsche understood this all too well. In the void left by the death of God, individuals are left to confront the existential reality of life's inherent meaninglessness. There is no transcendent plan or higher purpose waiting to be revealed. And yet, this is precisely where Nietzsche's work speaks to the future. His philosophy recognizes that humans are not passive in the face of this void. If anything, Nietzsche believed we have the potential to create meaning, but only after confronting and overcoming the nihilism left in the wake of God's demise. Despite Nietzsche's criticisms of Christianity, he was keenly aware of the depth of human spiritual longing. While he rejected the Christian God as a life-denying force that promoted weakness and passivity, Nietzsche did not reject the human need for transcendence altogether. On the contrary, Nietzsche's philosophy can be read as an attempt to rechannel that longing, not toward a metaphysical deity, but toward a higher form of life that could emerge from humanity itself. Many people today, whether they identify as religious or not, continue to experience a profound spiritual yearning. This isn't simply a desire for dogmatic answers, but a thirst for deeper connection to meaning, purpose, and the world around them. Nietzsche anticipated this longing in his critique of modernity, understanding that the death of God would leave a gap that could not be easily filled. The future, Nietzsche believed, would be shaped by those who could grapple with this longing and transform it into something life-affirming. Nietzsche famously warned about staring into the abyss, suggesting that when we confront the void left by the death of God, it also confronts us. But this abyss, this nothingness, can be seen not merely as a pit of nihilism, but as the very edge of reason, knowledge, and language, the boundaries of human understanding. For me, it is here, at this precipice, where rationality falters and certainty dissolves, that Nietzsche opens the door to a different conception of the divine. If the divine exists anywhere, it might be precisely in this abyss where human reason reaches its limits. The divine, in this sense, is not a figure within our grasp, but a presence beyond our comprehension. Faith in this divine is possible while staring into the abyss, not as a retreat from reason, but as a recognition that the divine lies beyond the horizon of what we can know, say, or conceive. This is not the God of traditional theism, but a more mysterious, elusive force that may only emerge when we confront the boundaries of existence. Nietzsche's challenge is not to abandon this longing, but to engage with it creatively, recognizing that the divine might manifest at the very edge of human limitation. This is where faith in the divine, beyond language, beyond certainty, can flourish. It's important to recognize that Nietzsche's critique of God was not just an attack on religious faith. It was a critique of the cultural and psychological weight that the idea of God carried. For Nietzsche, the Christian God represented an externalization of the human values of compassion, humility, forgiveness, that had become ossified and life-denying. But this does not mean Nietzsche dismissed the human impulse to reach for the transcendent. In fact, he recognized that the longing for God was, at its core, a deeply human desire to find coherence in an otherwise chaotic universe. In a sense, Nietzsche's God is a mirror for our own existential aspirations, reflecting humanity's need to impose meaning onto a disordered world. The death of this God forces us to re-engage with the question of what it means to be human. The spiritual longing that many feel today, whether expressed through religion, philosophy, art, or even science, can be seen as a continuation of this same existential quest for meaning. Nietzsche's challenge is not to abandon this quest, but to take ownership of it, to create new gods and new values that speak to the needs of the future. So, what does the future hold in a world where God is dead, but spiritual longing remains alive? Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, or overman, offers a potential answer. The Übermensch is not a tyrant or a ruler, as often misunderstood, but rather a visionary figure capable of transcending the nihilism that follows the death of God. This figure represents a human being who creates new values, new spiritual horizons, and new forms of meaning, even in a world that has abandoned traditional religious structures. For Nietzsche, the future belongs to those who can overcome the despair of a world without inherent meaning, and instead embrace the creative power of human existence. The Übermensch is an ideal, not in the sense of divine perfection, but as a model of spiritual resilience. This figure responds to the longing for transcendence not by looking backward to a lost God, but by moving forward into a new era of human potential. In this way, Nietzsche's vision for the future is deeply spiritual, even if it is not traditionally religious. Nietzsche's proclamation that God is dead does not close the door on spiritual life. It opens the door to a new kind of spirituality, one rooted in human creativity and resilience. The God that Nietzsche declares dead is not simply a metaphysical being. It is a symbol of humanity's old way of making sense of the world. The question Nietzsche leaves us with is whether we can embrace the spiritual longing that remains and transform it into a creative force for the future. In a time where many people feel disillusioned with traditional religion but still yearn for deeper meaning, Nietzsche's work offers a path forward. He challenges us to become the creators of new meanings, new values, and new gods. Gods that reflect our highest aspirations rather than our deepest fears. The death of God, in Nietzsche's view, is not the end of spirituality, but the beginning of a new, more human-centered approach to it. If the divine exists anywhere, it is at the very edge of our reason, knowledge, and language, the abyss Nietzsche so vividly describes. In that mysterious space where we confront the limits of our understanding, the possibility of the divine remains open.